Atlantic. Far from any continent, a piece of land rises sharply from the ocean floor. Not wide, not flat, but carved and lifted. Cliffs drop straight into deep water. Clouds cling to the peaks. And rivers cut through the rock without stopping. Everything here is shaped by height. And by force. An island that feels larger than it is. This is Madeira. Portuguese navigators introduced bananas to Madeira in the 16th century from tropical voyages. Sugarcane clearing during the 1420s yielded to Poios's dry stone basalt terraces stacked up sheer volcanic cliffs. Commercial banana cultivation replaced sugar and wheat as primary export by the mid-19th century across south-facing slopes where the foehn effect from the central mountain spine blocks northern moisture. Year-round subtropical production unfolds across terraces where heavy machinery cannot operate. Every stage depends on human hands, working terrain unchanged for centuries. Centuries-old levadas carry rain from humid northern highlands to these arid southern plots. Banana from Madeira bears protected geographical indication status. Climbing 12 kilometers north from the coastal terraces, the road enters Madeira's interior valleys, where hamlets vanish into deep green ravines. João Gonçalves Zarco landed in this volcanic cove in 1419 and named it Câmara de Lobos, Chamber of the Sea Wolves, after the Mediterranean monk seals that filled the coastal caves. By 1430, this settlement became one of Madeira's earliest parishes. Malvasia grapevines imported from Crete under Prince Henry the Navigator were planted on surrounding slopes. Fishing anchored survival longline boats hunting black scabbard fish, espada preta, pulled from depths exceeding 1,000 meters. Men hauled catch by hand, a skill passed through generations. Traditional wooden vessels painted in reds, blues, and yellows still line this harbor, an unbroken maritime culture stretching back 600 years. Senhora da Conceição Chapel and Convent of São Bernardino, dating to 1425, mark the community identity alongside the fishing trade. Poncha, a cane sugar spirit, has been a fixture here for generations. In January 1950, Winston Churchill spent hours at this harbor with his easel, painting the fleet of colorful fishing boats. That painting brought international recognition, spurring tourism. Praia do Vigário, the redeveloped waterfront, represents efforts to modernize for visitors. Before dawn, boats push out into open Atlantic, following routes passed down through fishing families since Portuguese settlement. Deep-water longlines descend toward black scabbardfish, living 1,000 meters below. Boats return at midday with a spada preta mouth full of needle teeth, eyes adapted to permanent darkness. Fishing shaped every corner of life here. Painted boats rocking at anchor, net mending on the pier each morning, the chapel where wives prayed for safe return, pancha that warmed men back from the Atlantic, generations whose sons have gone to sea since the 15th. Six centuries after Zarco named this bay for seals now gone, Câmara de Lobos remains Madeira's first harbor, a community built on fishing that has never stopped going to sea. Churchill captured one afternoon of it, but the rhythm he painted continues. Boats out before dawn, boats back at noon, 6 centuries unbroken. Madeira's Laurisilva forest endures as a living relic of prehistoric rainforests that blanketed southern Europe and North Africa over 20 million years ago, before Pleistocene glaciations wiped out 90% of them. Portuguese navigators arriving in 1419 named the island Madeira, Island of Wood, after encountering forests so dense they seemed impenetrable. Lowland tracts were cleared with fire during the 15th and 16th centuries for sugarcane and shipbuilding, a process that burned for 7 years. Final's remote location on the Pol de Serra plateau spared it from widespread logging. Perched at roughly 1,150 meters between Seixal and Ribeira da Janela mountain ranges, this isolated basin intercepts moisture-laden trade winds from the Atlantic. Individual Ocotea photons trees have been carbon dated between 500 and 800 years old, already ancient when humans first reached the archipelago. For centuries, local communities practiced transhumance here, moving cattle to high-altitude summer pastures, preventing dense undergrowth from forming across the plateau. Grazing livestock held back thick brush, creating the distinctive parkland aesthetic still visible across these rolling highland slopes. Twisted moss-covered trunks cast long shadows as low sunlight pierces through dense canopies. Narrow earthen paths cut across the slopes, contrasting with the meadow. UNESCO designated this Laura Silva a World Heritage Site in December 1999, recognizing it as the largest and best-preserved continuous laurel forest in existence. Madeira Natural Park classified the grove as a rest and quiet reserve, guaranteeing absolute protection for rare endemic plant species. Daily fog banks rolling in from the ocean blanket the plateau in dense mist. Dark mountain ridges extend beneath shifting layers of white and gray clouds. Gnarled branches reach outward into the white expanse, bark densely layered with velvet green lichen. Sunlight breaks through the upper canopy, sending sharp beams that illuminate moss-draped limbs and the grassy basin below. Weathered gray logs rest on the grass as tiny human figures walk across the distant crest, dwarfed by the scale of these ancient organisms. Each tree trunk here holds deep grooves, carved by centuries of wind and moisture. Low-angled morning sun opens intense golden light between thick dark trunks, while long shadows stretch across bright green grass. Smaller trees stand isolated in the distant basin. Sunset filters intensely through twisted branches, casting dramatic shadows across the highland meadow. Brilliant starburst light breaks through dark, weathered limbs near the horizon. Narrow, reddish dirt paths cut across the lawn as wire fencing traces the perimeter, where crooked branches twist and connect across open space. By 2026, authorities introduced new visitor caps and access controls to prevent soil compaction and root damage caused by surging tourist numbers. Standing at 1,818 meters, Pico do Arriero is Madeira's third highest summit and most accessible alpine gateway. Portuguese explorers João Gonçalves, Zarco, and Tristão Vaz Teixeira first sighted this volcanic archipelago in 1419. For centuries, the central massif remained nearly impassable, traversed only by shepherds driving livestock between seasonal pastures. Charcoal burners harvested high-altitude heather for fuel, seeking shelter in hand-dug volcanic caves known as furnas. In the 18th and 19th centuries, ice gatherers called ficheiros climbed to the high peaks during rare winter snowstorms. They wrapped collected ice in straw and sheepskins, carrying it down on foot to hospitals and wine estates of Funchal. Cartographers mapped the highest summit, Pico Ruivo Red Peak, for its iron-rich oxidized rock. That summit reaches 1,862 meters. Pico das Torres stands between it and Pico do Arriero at 1,851 meters. These three summits form a rugged spine splitting the island into northern and southern climatic zones. Moisture-laden trade winds generate persistent cloud inversions across this barrier, known locally as Mar de Nuvens. Dense white fog becomes trapped against the northern slopes, while the peaks above bask in clear sunlight. These summits sit above the cloud layer up to 235 days each year. Jagged basalt cliffs emerge above the white vapor, their dark, weathered surfaces contrasting against the bright blue sky. Below, traces of narrow paths wind across the mountainside. PR1 Vereda do Arreiro spans 7 kilometers across this high-altitude corridor, hand-carved into sheer basalt during the mid-20th century to connect isolated mountain communities. Stone staircases, steel cable railings, and pedestrian tunnels, some exceeding 100 meters, transformed perilous shepherd routes into a safe traverse. Stone pathways cut across the steep mountain ridge, connecting dense green slopes. Low-growing shrubs and weathered trees hold tightly to the vertical rock face. Hikers move along the dirt pathway carved into the rugged volcanic spine. Sparse green shrubs cling to steep, layered rock faces as shifting mist obscures the deep basin below. Jagged volcanic ridges rise above a deep central basin, while early morning light warms the western rock faces and thin white mist moves across the eastern chasm. Atop a jagged volcanic summit, a colossal white radar dome dominates the crest, while a latticed steel communication tower stands on an adjacent peak and fenced walkways track across the exposed rock. Hikers step single file along the pathway as thick white clouds roll across the steep abyss. Narrow paved roads curve sharply along the steep, grassy hillside, where yellow flowering shrubs dot the green slopes while mist moves through the rocky chasm. In 1939, Casa de Abrigo do Pico Ruivo opened as the region's first stone mountain shelter. By 1957, a meteorological station operated near Pico do Arreiro, exploiting its position above the maritime boundary layer. Stone-paved trail runs along the spine of a narrow volcanic ridge under a clear blue sky. Dense low clouds push against the sheer cliff faces of the central mountain range. Two figures stand at the edge of a sheer cliff atop a jagged summit, patchy white snow covering portions of dark, fractured basalt. Below, an unbroken blanket of white cloud rolls across the lower basin. Hiker carrying a bright green backpack climbs a narrow, reddish-brown dirt path winding toward rocky mountain slopes, vanishing into mist. Along a high mountain ridge, a large green shrub holds dozens of upright, cone-shaped purple flower spikes, while a narrow stone staircase climbs toward a distant handrail. Jagged volcanic ridges rise above a dense white blanket of clouds. Distant layered peaks emerge from the cloud base as golden sunrise catches dark, fractured rock faces where purple shrubs dot the slopes. Narrow stone staircase climbs the steep, dark volcanic slope of a high mountain ridge. Metal railings follow the rugged path toward a jagged summit. Mist drifts through the craggy peaks, revealing a faint rainbow. Hiker wearing a dark backpack moves up a steep staircase carved directly into dark rock. Wire safety railings line the path as white clouds fill the deep basin below. Stone-paved ridge path cuts across a jagged volcanic crest where hikers cross a narrow spine with safety railings, while dense white clouds carpet the valley below. Red-roofed Casa de Abrigo, near Pico Ruivo, sits amidst dense vegetation. Below, white clouds fill the valleys, where a paved parking area and narrow path connect to the upper terrain. Dense clusters of tall, purple flowering spikes dominate the foreground on a steep slope. Yellow wildflowers accent rugged ridges where valleys cut toward a distant coastline. Golden sunset breaks across the horizon. Stone paths with metal railings run along jagged ridges as clouds envelop steep volcanic slopes. Golden light cuts through heavy mist, while dense fog drifts over valleys and orange glow fills the horizon. Pico do Arriero is the only one of Madeira's 3 highest summits directly accessible by paved road, serving as the primary hub for hikers starting the trek toward Pico Ruivo. Hikers follow a narrow path along a high ridge where the trail cuts across reddish volcanic soil lined by a rope handrail. Sharp green-mantled peaks rise in the background. Hikers move along a narrow stone path across the sharp crest of a mountain ridge. Dark volcanic rock drops into steep ravines where green vegetation grows in dense clusters. Narrow stone staircase connects 2 sheer rock faces over a precipitous basin. Person moves up the steps with arms outstretched as vegetation blankets the cliffs. Line of colorful figures makes single-file ascent up weathered steps carved into dark volcanic rock, the path clinging to the cliff edge bordered by steep, grassy slopes. Small figures move in single file along a narrow dirt path cutting across a jagged volcanic ridge. Low green shrubs cling to sheer basalt cliffs, dropping into deep valleys. Hikers gather atop a sharp volcanic ridge silhouetted against a clear blue sky. Solitary white marker stands at the summit plateau. Stone footpath cuts through thick green shrubbery on a steep ridge. Wooden trail signs stand at the path edge, while heavy white clouds roll across the deep valley, swallowing the peak ahead. Stone path runs along a steep ridge surrounded by dense green shrubs. Thick white clouds move across the basin as dark volcanic peaks rise into the sky. Hikers move single file between steel cable railings along the sharp spine of a volcanic ridge. Low clouds push through adjacent basaltic ravines as mist shifts across the deep mountain basin. Metal railings flank a steep pathway where hikers move down stone-carved staircases on precipitous slopes. White mist rises from the cavernous valley, while figures climb an ascending staircase further up the ridgeline. Two individuals walk down a stone staircase along a steep mountain ridge. Wooden handrails line the path, while dense gray fog obscures the higher peaks. Massive white radar dome holds its position atop a concrete tower bearing military insignia. Several figures move along wooden pathways, while steel fencing runs across the grassy slope. Hikers with large backpacks move up rugged stone steps along a steep ridge. Thin wire handrail runs alongside the stone path where sparse vegetation meets dark, exposed earth. Stone path runs along a mountain ridge where a lone traveler moves toward deep volcanic valleys. Dense white blanket of low-lying clouds fills the distant basin. Hiker in dark hooded jacket walks along a narrow, uneven stone path etched into a high ridge. Jagged volcanic cliffs drop sharply into deep, shadowy ravines filled with dense white clouds. Yellow gorse flowers carpet the terraced rock faces as morning light catches jagged basalt crevices. White geodetic radar dome stands against the sky, while a red and white communications tower rises from an adjacent peak. Jagged volcanic ridge holds its position above a vast, unbroken basin of white clouds. Wisps of mist move along the lower edges of the craggy slopes. Jagged, reddish-brown rock faces and sharp pinnacles emerge from thick white mist as a clear, pale blue sky extends overhead. Pico do Arriero rises sharply above a dense, swirling sea of white clouds. Prominent spherical radar dome perches on the highest rock outcrop against the clear, deep blue sky. Rugged volcanic ridge cuts across a steep mountain massif blanketed in patches of yellow flowering shrubs. Distant craggy ridges rise above a soft blanket of clouds. Stone and dirt paths run along narrow volcanic ridges flanked by sheer drops. Billowing white clouds roll across jagged peaks as the setting sun cuts an orange sliver through dense mist. Distant figures walk the winding trail. Low clouds drift through the deep basalt valley, while small groups of hikers walk a narrow trail connecting two rugged peaks. Yellow flowers cover high wind-swept slopes as mist shifts over steep rock walls. Stone staircases climb along narrow mountain ridges flanked by sheer drops into a sea of low-lying clouds. Wire handrails run along both edges toward fractured volcanic peaks. High along the ridge, steep rock walls cut into the open sky, while thick blankets of cloud move across the upper basin where sunlight hits the stone. Jagged basalt monoliths pierce a thick, roiling blanket of white clouds along a sharp mountain spine. Dense fog clings to the sheer, dark rock faces, pouring over the narrow ridgeline like a silent waterfall. Green moss and low vegetation cling to the steep rock faces, where late afternoon sun strikes the slopes. White mist moves through the right-hand valley. Stone viewpoint with wooden railing stands over a dense layer of white clouds. Bright sunlight illuminates the clear blue sky, while deep valleys below are hidden from view. Rainwater fills a shallow stone-carved basin beside a paved mountain path on a rugged ridge. Wooden post anchors the foreground, while a stone staircase shifts upward into the mist. Hikers follow a dirt path winding across a steep, vegetated mountain ridge. Exposed gray volcanic boulders flank the path. Livestock grazing was banned in recent decades to promote ecological restoration across these fragile, high-altitude ecological zones. 12 kilometers east, the massif descends to Ponta de São Lourenço. 25 kilometers southeast along the coast from Porto Moniz, Ponta do Sol unfolds beneath a different sky, the sunniest spot on Madeira, settled around 1425 after Portuguese arrival. Sugarcane earned the nickname white gold here, fueling 15th century wealth across Europe and Africa. King Manuel I elevated the settlement to village status. On the 2nd of December 1501, Red Building now stands atop the cliff, where whale spotters once lit fireworks to alert neighboring harbors. Designer Tiberio Auguste Blanc built the iconic pier and stone arch bridge between 1848 and 1850, enabling safe landings where sheer cliffs had isolated the village from Funchal for centuries. Terracotta-walled villas perch atop the rugged, dark volcanic cliff overlooking the Atlantic. Below, a small pier stretches into calm water as golden sunset illuminates the distant shoreline. Deep ravines open directly into the ocean here, carving the coast into dramatic promontories. Warm-lit buildings cluster at the base of a vertical rock face, while lights illuminate an isolated red pavilion above. Banana cultivation replaced sugarcane in the 20th century, reshaping terraced green hillsides. Narrow, dark pebble beaches curve against concrete breakwaters, while coastal roads connect scattered white dwellings, rising into misty mountains. Narrow volcanic ridges stretch into the deep blue Atlantic, marking the eastern edge of Madeira. "16 kilometers southeast, the mountains give way to Ponta de São Lourenço. Returning northwest to the central massif, Ponta de São Lourenço forms the easternmost peninsula of Madeira, extending 9 kilometers into the Atlantic. Named by Zarco in 1419 after his caravel, this headland served as a critical landmark for early navigators. Unlike the lush forested interior, this peninsula presents a stark, semi-arid landscape swept by trade winds. Rust-colored volcanic cliffs descend into churning deep blue waters where jagged sea stacks rise like solitary sentinels. Early colonizers deforested the peninsula for grazing. Severe topsoil erosion followed, and the fragile landscape never recovered. Narrow footpath climbs the highest spine as crimson and ochre earth layers cut across barren terrain. Massive, dark volcanic cliffs with distinct red layering meet deep blue water where churning white foam moves along sheer rock walls. Jagged triangular peak rises to the right. Red-hued cliffs plunge into a dark blue channel where white foam churns against shore. Casa do Sardinha, built in 1905 by Manuel Betancourt Sardinia as a private refuge, was acquired for conservation in 1996. Layered strata of red and ochre earth mark the steep rock face where distant figures walk along a narrow path, tracing the spine of the volcanic ridge. White foam churns against dark, jagged rocks at the base of the red-hued precipice. Dirt track crosses the arid plateau past the solitary roofed structure. Narrow dirt track traces the spine past Casa do Sardinha. Below, circular aquaculture pens form a grid in the sheltered bay, designated a partial marine reserve in 1999. Deep, vertical fractures and horizontal bands of cream, gray, and ochre score the sheer rock wall. White foam churns around a pointed rock stack isolated in the blue water. Dark, jagged sea stack rises from the turquoise Atlantic shore. Fractured red and ochre basalt cliffs loom behind it, while white foam wraps around the base. Striated bands of dark gray, ochre, and crimson cross the sheer volcanic cliff, terminating at a narrow boulder beach. Entire peninsula was designated a partial natural reserve in 1982. Jagged, colorful stacks and steep coastal cliffs open in the distance under a pale blue sky. Dark volcanic spire rises from turquoise water holding position against incoming waves. Isolated dark sea stack shows sharp fractured textures along its vertical spire. Further out, a large sea stack features a natural arch carved through its base. Layered volcanic cliffs rise from the deep blue ocean. Sheer volcanic sea stack rises from dark Atlantic waters off the rugged peninsula. Horizontal bands of reddish and dark gray ash layers mark the massive coastal headland. Long peninsula of red and brown rock reaches into the open sea with a walking path tracing the contours of arid slopes. Offshore, isolated sea stacks stand against steady water. Tiny figures gather along a narrow dirt path, crossing a sheer rust-colored ridge rising above the deep blue sea, peninsula named after Zarco's caravel São Lourenço. Jagged rust-colored cliffs drop vertically into the churning sea, where white surf breaks against dark rock. Beyond the main face, isolated sea stacks rise as remnants of a coastline yielding to the ocean. Dirt path lined by a wire fence runs along the edge of a rocky peninsula. Red and brown layers of exposed earth form steep cliffs dropping directly into the water. Craggy volcanic spine juts into the Atlantic, with rust-toned slopes tracing a sharp profile. Deep teal waters churn against basaltic cliffs, while a calmer bay cradles small sailboats in intense blue. Tall, isolated sea stack rises from the deep blue ocean. Reddish-brown and dark charcoal layers stripe the vertical stone face, where waves crash, creating turquoise water and white foam. White-capped waves break rhythmically against a jagged sea stack, swirling into foam within sea-carved channels. Iron-rich striations of red and charcoal gray mark the monolith. Deep red and ochre strata laced with vertical basaltic dikes hold their form against the relentless ocean on a sheer, jagged cliff of oxidized volcanic rock. Vertical sea stack stands alone in dark water where the ocean surges. White foam crashes against steep layered rock as waves hit the base. Dark, stratified basalt cliffs rise sharply from churning blue water with jagged edges carved by relentless waves. Sparse vegetation clings to the arid slopes. Sheer dark ridge overlooks the wide ocean basin. Offshore rock arch holds its position as water pushes white foam around its base. Stark cliffs of rust red and dark basalt fall abruptly into the churning Atlantic, creating a jagged coastline defined by wind and wave. White foam patterns the dark water. Lone figure stands on a rugged volcanic cliff overlooking a deep ocean bay and steep, dark coastal formations. Lone hiker walks a narrow dirt trail cut into a steep, rocky ridge. Thin rope separates the path from the open drop, where a towering sea stack rises from crashing waves. Lone photographer on a weathered cliffside captures the silhouette of a volcanic sea stack. Rust and deep ochre terrain contrasts against dark, churning water. Woman walks down a dirt path cut into a dry, sunlit ridge overlooking the Atlantic. Massive, dark volcanic pinnacle rises from the sea in the distance. White foam marks where waves move against sheer, reddish-brown rock walls along the jagged peninsula. Overcast sky hangs above deep blue ocean, with distant mountains beyond. Dozens of hikers walk a red earth trail tracing the crest of an elongated volcanic headland. Low vegetation covers the sloping terrain, while waves break against dark rock outcrops. Rugged, rust-colored headland reaches into deep cobalt Atlantic. Layered volcanic cliffs descend into churning water, where swells break against the rocky base. Beyond the peninsula, the horizon stretches toward distant islands. 25 kilometers northwest, the terrain rises into Santana. North and downhill from Fanal, Porto Moniz faces the Atlantic, where surging waves crash over jagged basalt barriers into tidal basins carved from lava. Named after Francisco Moniz Oveljo, an Algarve nobleman who settled in the late 15th century, ocean waves crash continuously over black volcanic barriers here. Isolation defined life here for centuries, reachable only by sea or perilous mountain tracks until tunnels bored through the volcanic core in the mid-20th century. White-walled houses with terracotta roofs terraced into the green hillside overlook a jagged shoreline where dark basalt meets deep blue Atlantic. Sheltered basins became communal fishing stations used to clean catches and secure boats from northern swells. Terracotta-roofed buildings cling to the steep hillside above the pools. Beyond the shore, the vast ocean stretches toward the horizon. White foam pushes over basalt barriers, while turquoise water holds still inside protected channels. São João Baptista Fort rose in 1730 from volcanic stone, guarding against pirate raids on isolated settlements. Whaling drove the economy until 1981, when it was banned. Concrete promenades now border stone basins where fishermen once hauled their catch. Foam crests explode upward as surf collides with stone barriers, water churning violently across the rocky floor. Calm green water fills interior enclosures, while white foam crashes against the outer barrier. Sunbathers rest on concrete platforms as the tide shifts. Turquoise water fills volcanic basins, contrasting sharply with deep navy blue depths of the surrounding sea. Swimmers move through emerald water as waves push foam against the outer ridge. Visitors rest on sunlit platforms. Black rock barriers curve to form protected basins against the open Atlantic surf. Visitors occupy the concrete deck as powerful waves surge past stone barriers, white crests overtaking dark formations before receding into the deep channel. Multi-story buildings stand terraced against the coastal mountain behind the rock pools. Swimmers drift in calm, deep green water. Swimmers sit along the divide between pool and ocean, watching surf crash over dark barriers separating the wild Atlantic from the tranquil basin. Turquoise pools hold steady, sheltered from the deep blue churn of the open ocean beyond. This coastline remained among Europe's most isolated inhabited ground until late 20th century roads connected Porto Moniz to the capital. Portuguese colonists settled these interior valleys as coastal areas grew crowded and vulnerable to pirate raids. Communities carved poios by hand from sheer rock to grow sugarcane, vines, and vegetables on slopes exceeding 30. For centuries, remote hamlets remained accessible only by treacherous footpaths winding through dense mountain forest. Paved roads were blasted through basalt cliffs in the late 20th century, linking these fortress-like villages to the coast. White masonry, topped by red clay tiles, contrasts against Emerald Valley walls. Curral das Freiras Nuns Corral earned its name in 1566 when nuns fled here to escape French pirates raiding Funchal. Thousands of kilometers of levadas carry water from wet northern peaks to these interior slopes, sustaining terraced agriculture across near-vertical terrain where mist dominates daily life. Dropping 15 kilometers northwest toward the windward coast, precipitous gorges drain the high central massif. Ribeira do Inferno Hells River drains the central massifs into the Atlantic through a deep coastal chasm. Two crossings span the gorge, a 19th century stone arch below and an upper concrete bridge from ER 101 construction in the 1940s. Constant rockfalls forced permanent closure to vehicles after cliffside failures in 2015. Only foot traffic now moves through. Basalt walls rise over 100 meters, exposing lava strata and ash bands from Pleistocene eruptions. Rain feeds moss across the rock faces, while ferns cling within cathedral-like acoustics. Stone path to cluster of triangular thatched houses. Smoke rises from a chimney, traditional thatched roof house among shrubs and trees. Deep green canopy arches over a stone courtyard beside the thatched dwelling. Whitewashed walls and timber beams beneath thick thatch. Yellow orchids and pink blossoms in woven baskets. Casa das Flores sign. Pair of triangular structures on the misty ridge, thatch, red and white. Blue hydrangeas beneath a green canopy as thick straw slopes down. Two thatched roof cottages with white walls and red doors. Blue trim on dark green doors and windows. Triangular buildings on a terraced hillside, thatch, pink and blue blooms. Manicured garden with red flowers borders a cobblestone walkway. Mist clings to distant hills. Santana settled 1,550 by Minho and Braga colonists, named for a chapel to Saint Anne, patron of farmers. Triangular thatched roof house, framed by white hydrangeas, stone pathway. Triangular structures behind pink and white flowers, wooden fence. Steep thatched roof tapers to a narrow ridge above dark green shutters and a red door. Triangular roofed house in a village garden. Visitors move along paths. Two triangular houses nestled within terraced garden plots, winding road curves around the perimeter. . cluster of triangular thatched roof cottages where green slopes descend toward a distant blue ocean horizon. Steep thatched roof covers the interior. Timber hutch holds blue and white plates. Coastal ridge, thatched roof cottage along a cobblestone path, red door, low fence. Blue and green hydrangeas below orange bell-shaped flowers. Isolation behind the central range preserved these building techniques long after modern architecture arrived. 25 kilometers south, where the volcanic shelf meets the Atlantic, a different vertical world rises from the ocean. Cabo Girao, Cape of the Turnaround, named when Zarco reached this point in 1419 and turned back. Formed during Miocene and Pliocene phases, this sea cliff ranks among Europe's highest at 589 meters. Dark basalt and reddish-tuff strata expose the face where a quarry once supplied stone for Funchal Cathedral. Catastrophic landslide in March 1930 detached a 200-meter block, generating a 30-meter wave. That wave claimed 24 lives, prompting Nossa Senhora de Fatima Chapel on the summit in 1931. Churchill visited in 1950, painting Camara de Lobos harbor from this vantage. Tiny cultivated fajans cling to the cliff-based debris fans from ancient landslides, farmed for centuries by families who reached them by boat or rappelling. Cable car access came in 2003. Modern tourism arrived in October 2012 when a glass skywalk opened, cantilevering over the precipice. Paragliders and base jumpers launch from this vertical drop. Maritime mists billow up from the ocean, swallowing the platform in fog that shifts rapidly between clear vistas and total occlusion. Capricious weather reflects the raw exposure of this southern bastion, where volcanic geology meets open ocean without compromise. Paved paths lead inland to forested slopes, while far below, white-capped waves meet the dark shoreline where generations of subsistence farmers shaped a life between the depths and the sky. Climbing north from the coastal terraces, the road enters interior valleys where hamlets vanish into deep green ravines.